Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, the country is looking to build its first Virology Institute in the next 2 years. What's the status of this major project? Plus, talks are ongoing with several companies to make COVID-19 vaccines here in the Philippines. Science and Technology Undersecretary Rowena Guevara joins us live. And later, a lawmaker calls for forward operating naval bases in the West Philippine Sea amid persistent Chinese incursions. House Strategic Intelligence Committee Chair Johnny Pimentel will also join us in the program. The country is hoping to construct its first ever Philippine Virology Institute at the new Clark City in Tarlac. The institute is expected to be operational by the end of 2023 or 2024. The project will serve as the research arm of the government to strengthen its vaccine manufacturing capabilities and prepare for future pandemic situations. Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have Department of Science and Technology Undersecretary Rowena Guevara. Undersecretary Guevara, welcome to the source and maraming salamat po sa inyong oras.
Good morning, Pinky.
All right, Virology Institute, very exciting and something we really need very, very soon. Of course, this will take some time, but the DOST together with the BCDA are already in talks regarding the construction of, you call this the VIP site, the Virology Institute of the Philippines site in Tarlac. What I read is that, Undersecretary, the term sheet is already being finalized between the BCDA and the DOST. Can you tell us more about this? Any update?
We are trying to get 5 hectares in New Clark City for 50 years. And we are negotiating the terms for our stay for the Virology and Vaccine Institute of the Philippines at the New Clark City. There are special requirements for this VIP because we are going to put up biosafety levels 3 and 4 in this facility, and we have to make sure that it is secure in that area. And then we're going to put up an animal house, several laboratories, and of course, we are going to put other types of laboratories for undertaking the research in virology for animals, for plants, and for humans.
Very interesting when you mentioned that, I believe yesterday. It's not just humans, obviously, it's also for animals and plants as well. But I wanted to bring this out in the open because I had asked Undersecretary Guevara a while ago if there's a virology degree being offered here in the Philippines. And she answers me with, no, it's not actually available here. I didn't know that.
It is true, Pinky. Currently, there is no BS or master's or PhD degree in virology. However, we have persons who are experts in molecular biology, and we also have people who are studying botany and zoology and all other fields that are related to virology. Our hope is that we are going to build the human capital for virology by encouraging Balik scientists to come in and asking some of our experts in the Philippines to retrain and retool, especially for virology. And then we will ask one of our universities, or maybe 2 of them, to put up a program, a bachelor, master's, and PhD degree in virology in the near future.
You mentioned the Balik scientists, obviously something we need, ano po, Yusek. There are supposedly, if I'm not mistaken, 7 Balik scientists who have signified their intention to, is it come home and help the Virology Institute of the Philippines?
Because of the pandemic, we have initiated a new way of doing the Balik scientists. If it is impossible for them to come to the Philippines, they can do it remotely. So our 7 Balik scientists who have already agreed to become involved in the VIP, some of them will be coming, some of them will be remote, and some of them will do a mix.
I see. How many have committed to come home?
Among them, 3 have committed to come home, or I say visit rather than come home, because balik lang naman ang gagawin nila.
Balik at tutulong muna.
Yes.
Okay, so the VIP site, 5 hectares. When do you think the construction will begin, and when can this be completed?
This year, the DPWH received 50 million such that they would be able to do the detailed engineering design for the VIP. We expect that it should be finished by the end of the year. So by next year, we can start the construction of the buildings of the VIP.
But the 50 million for the design is already funded by the DBM.
Yes, it's already with DPWH, and we are already in talks with DPWH on the details of the design.
And after that design is done, construction can begin next year. How much is needed to be able to construct this VIP site?
For next year, we are going to need 500 million. And this has already been agreed with the Department of Budget and Management.
How long will it take, Undersecretary, for the completion? I think I read either
it will
end of
take
2023.
2 years. It
But
will
how
take
much
2
is-
years, so 2022.
Go ahead, Yusek.
So in 2022, we get 500 million. In 2023, we get about 300 million for the building, and then another maybe 200 million for the equipment.
So we're looking at about 1 billion pesos.
Yes.
And with 1 billion pesos, that will be operational.
Of course.
Okay.
Pinky, this year we received 284 million. So the R&D are already starting this year, and we are hosting it here at the Department of Science and Technology, Industrial Technology Development Institute.
All right. You talked about, Yusek, when we talk about this VIP site, there are a number of components that need to be studied here, obviously when it comes to viruses. Human virus, you mentioned a while ago, animal virus, also very important, and plant virus. Can you tell us more about this?
Okay, for the human virus, of course, coronavirus is the one that we are all dealing with. But there are other viruses like Zika, chikungunya, and so on that we also need to study. Second, for the animals, we know that we have African swine fever that's affecting our pork industry. So we are also going to study similar things, not just for pigs, but also for other animals. And then thirdly, we're going to study viruses in plants. So for example, we have the tomato leaf curl, yellow leaf curl that we are going to study because it affects other commodities as well. And it means millions of losses for these industries.
So tell us, Undersecretary, while the VIP site is being talked about and will hopefully be built beginning next year, and construction will end 2 years thereafter, how are we doing in terms of the study of viruses on humans, animals, and plants? Ano pong ginagawa ngayon habang hinihintay pa yung completion ng VIP site?
As I mentioned, we were able to fund some projects this year, 6 projects all in all, and they have already been approved, and they will be starting in a few weeks, once we have transferred the money. So there are 6 projects in this first R&D programs that we have approved for the VIP. And among all these programs that we have one that is studying the tomato yellow leaf curl. And we know that this is going to be useful also for other commodities. And then we're also involving St. Luke's Medical Center, the Research
Mhm.
Institute for Tropical Medicine, and the Baylor College of Medicine in the USA for other studies, especially for what we call viruses in animals that may become zoonotic and
Yeah,
transferred to humans, similar
humans.
to what happened to COVID-19. Yes. So yun ang ating, we are going to concentrate on these zoonotic viruses because what happened with the COVID-19 might happen again. And we need to be able to respond in the future.
It's also, it gives a lot of, siguro mapapanatag ng konti yung loob natin knowing that hindi kailangan hintayin na matapos tong VIP site because of course tests are actually ongoing, as you mentioned a while ago for plant virus, animal, and even human. But over and above this, there's also another component that I read, Undersecretary, that says that when we're looking at COVID facilities, separate pa ho ba to? Because there are supposedly 5 firms or maybe 8 who are looking at building COVID facilities in the Philippines. There's even one that's supposed to be able to establish the facility by the end of the year.
Yes, that is true. Part of the work at the VIP is support in a scientific and technical manner to companies that plan to establish vaccine manufacturing plants in the country. We imagine that they will need to test some of these things, and the facilities at the VIP will be open to them.
I see. Okay. So it actually goes hand in hand. It's almost like these COVID facilities need to partner with the VIP site for the development of the vaccines.
Yes. Pinky, we imagine that in the beginning, because we are coming from zero vaccine manufacturing, there will be technology transfer from the foreign vaccine developer to the local pharmaceutical company. And
Yeah.
then we expect that as they gain confidence and capability, they will soon be developing their own vaccines. However, to develop vaccines, you're going to need the facilities of the VIP. So there will be partnership with the government, the academe, and the private sector in developing these new vaccines in the future.
And I guess, Undersecretary, the question really would be, I know it's probably going to be hard to answer, but when can we be able to develop vaccines here in the country?
What we're going to do, as what we did with the Philippine Space Agency, you know that DOST, we started sending people in Japan, then we started building our microsatellites and our nanosatellites, and then we established the Philippine Space Agency. In a similar manner, we are going to bootstrap the Virology and Vaccine Institute of the Philippines by using what we already have and going for very quick trainings for those people who are capable of converting to virologists. So I imagine that in 2 years' time, we should be able to develop our own vaccine.
Which actually leads me to my next question. Is there enough human resource for this? Or does it even appeal to a lot of Filipinos?
Pinky, every year we graduate 400 to 500 MS and PhDs in science and engineering from the DOST scholarships. This has happened for the last 5 years. Yes, so we have the human capital. We just need to be able to put them in this particular specialization in virology and vaccine development. And having said that, we noticed that there are bilateral relationships that we have. We have scientific agreements with certain countries who are willing to help us leapfrog in certain technologies. For example, the WHO is offering a mRNA hub. So if we engage in that particular initiative of WHO, then we don't have to do the beginnings of the mRNA. We'll just jump in where the
Yeah,
mRNA studies are right now
yeah,
and move forward.
right. Wherever it's progressed, that's where we begin. We don't start from scratch, basically. And you mentioned the WHO. Just one last issue I wanted to discuss with you. The clinical trials for COVID-19, that is set to begin next month.
We have
The
several clinical
solidarity.
trials. Oh, the WHO Solidarity Vaccine Trial. We are going to start next month once we receive the protocol and the names of the vaccines from WHO, hopefully by the end of this month. Our team has already been prepared. We have had trainings and they are ready to start with the deployment as soon as we get that from WHO. And then we submit our request for permit to conduct the clinical trial from the FDA and from the Ethics Review Board.
And what is the benefit, Undersecretary, to the Filipino people on this solidarity trials?
First, before we talk about benefit, let us talk about being part of the global initiative to fight the COVID-19. That is the number one. The second one is that it is good to know if a vaccine is going to work for the Filipino ethnicity, because it is important to see how it affects the Filipinos when we use that vaccine in the Philippines. And thirdly, according to WHO, this batch of vaccines that they will use for the Solidarity Vaccine Trial, these are not coming from the big companies. These are coming from the smaller companies. And we're looking for possible vaccines that are single dose, possible vaccines that last longer than the other vaccines that are available. And we're also looking at a different way of putting it in the human, like nasal spray. So these are new technologies that are going to be studied in the Solidarity Vaccine Trial.
Very interesting. DOST Undersecretary Rowena Guevara. Ma'am, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.